Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this Chausson Flash. So it's 2010 60 plate on the Ford Transit chassis. So it's a Flash 03. All right. And so what I'll do is I'll start the video off under the bonnet, work my way around all the way around the outside, and then I will show you through the inside after that. So with every vehicle that we sell, this one has had an MOT, whatever service the engine needs, basically normally an interim service, and a habitation check. So all of that has been done. Habitation check just been finished, and so I'll be getting on with the video now. So what I'll do, I'll start on the left-hand side, work my way across to the right, and then as I say, I'll carry on around the outside. So over on the left, we have got your brake fluid up here, which is attached to the servo behind it. Your engine oil filling point just here at the top, and your engine oil dipstick is a little yellow one just down here at the front. Your power steering fluid is this one just here at the front of the engine here, and your air filter is inside this box here at the front. Okay, so it's really easy to get to that. You've got a little bit of air conditioning information at the front just here. This particular van, I have actually regassed the aircon because when it came into us, it wasn't really very cold. So I've regassed that, and it's blowing nice and cold now, so it's working really well. We have got the cabin filter just up here with the little air intake part just there. And that's about it for that area. We've got your engine coolant in this reservoir up here on the top right-hand side, and a bank just here of fuses and relays. Your washer fluid gets topped up through this reservoir here on the right. And the only other thing to point out on the Transits is that you've actually got, because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab, or actually under the driver's seat on these ones, they give you a nice little access point to the positive and negative terminals under the bonnet. So under this little red cap that I've just taken off is a positive terminal, which links directly to the engine battery. And over here on the left-hand side, you can, if you want to, grip hold of something around here. There's a little sign saying not to grip it onto the wiper motor, because that will spark that out and end up breaking it. It does have a little sign here. Sometimes they're a bit different. But this one is telling you that you should use this little engine hoist hook just here to earth. So if you want to jump start the vehicle, positive there, negative there, and then you can jump start the van. So on the near side of the van, on the passenger side in this case, we've got both front seats are swivel seats. Okay, so you can swivel both of those around if you want to. Not really much to show you on the passenger side, to be honest. You've got a little extra glove box at the top. Obviously your big one down underneath. Diesel filling point is this one just here. You will need your ignition key in order to open that up. If you've got the boiler lit up on gas, you will feel warm air coming out through this vent just here. So this is your boiler vent. You have got this little cover here for the boiler. So if you're not using the boiler for a little while, it's important to put this cover back on. So if you probably saw what I just did there, to take it off, you literally push in with your thumb just here and pull from the bottom. You'll then be able to lift it out. To put it back on, you've got little nodules at the top, line them up and then drop them on, push it forward and it will lock in position. Up underneath, we've got your freshwater drain off point, which, if I try and remind myself, oh, there we go. So you've got a little freshwater drain, the little white drain tap just there is how you would drain out the fresh water from the tank. All right, so it's less usual to have to drain out the fresh tank, but if you wanted to winterize it or whatever, then you can do that from there. Right, so next thing we get to is our freshwater filling point. So fresh water goes in through here and goes directly to the fresh tank. Don't worry about the locker, how it looks at the moment. I'm just waiting for a new lock system for this because the old one was a little bit broken, so I'm just getting a new one for that. But this is your toilet cassette locker. So to remove the cassette, you lift up on the little yellow tab at the bottom and pull out. So that'll be literally 2 seconds to take the cassette out. That will then take all the way out and you can walk it to wherever you need to go to. So when you actually come to draining this out, you twist this little valve around to here and undo this cap. All right, so that's how you would physically drain the cassette out. Hold down the little yellow button here at the back whilst you're draining it. And then once you've drained it out, about 1 cap's worth of the blue fluid goes back inside, and then give it a little swish around and push it back in. So it really is as easy as that. It's not any more complicated than that. It's really simple. So we have got a garage in this particular van, which lays underneath the sort of bunk bed, which I'll show you on the other side. So underneath here at the back, we've got your wastewater drain off point. So you've got a little handle just here. All right, when you pull on the handle, I'm just going to do it briefly. Put on the handle. I didn't have much water come out just then because I haven't really used much. But basically, put on the handle, will drain out all the wastewater out onto the floor. So it's really as easy as that. So you've got 2 windows at the back of the van. One opener like this, and one opener just slides left and right. So yeah, that's about it really for the back. If I just open up this locker. So I had to do a bit of a repair on the actual framework of this. So if I lift this up, what you'll see is I can lock it in position up here, even with the little mattress still attached. Okay, so you know that's a really, really strong bed system. You have got another one up there as well, another latch. But the idea is that you can actually use this, because you can take that whole piece out there as well if you want to. But you can use this as an absolutely massive garage if you want to. You have still got a single bed at the top just here. So if you do only need one bed at the back here, you can leave it like this all the time if you want to. So yeah, it's completely up to you how you want to use the van. But yeah, loads of space in here, absolutely loads of space. You've got a couple of additional rungs for the... just pop that light on. A couple of additional rungs here for the bike rack if you should need them. Awning winder, obviously for the awning. I have wound the awning out and lubricated it all up. I did have to do a little repair on one of the legs as well in the awning, but that's, you know, simple thing. So yeah, all looking good on that front. The leisure battery sits under the floor in here. It's a bit tricky to get open with one hand. There we go. So leisure battery's in here. Okay, so if you ever needed any access to that, then you can get to it from there. It's actually working really, really nicely. I haven't had to sort of replace it or charge it or anything like that. I've got the hookup in, so it is charging, to be fair, but you know, I have obviously checked it all over without the hookup in as well, and it's working really well. So yeah, nice and easy. Not much else for me to show you in here, to be honest, but I will just leave it like this for a minute just so that we can you know, if I need to come back to it for anything, then I can show you again. Right, so the next locker we get to is the gas locker. So we've got a brand new bottle in here. Unfortunately, there was no bottle in the van at all before, so I've put a new one in for you. So basically, to turn the gas bottle on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left all the way until it stops, and that is our gas bottle all the way on. And then we want to turn it off, we go clockwise all the way around to the right until it stops as well. So clockwise to the right to turn it off, anti-clockwise to turn it on. Okay, and the reason that I say to go all the way one way or all the way the other way is because when you come to turn the bottle off or on, you can only go one way when you get to it, so you know that that way is off or on. For example, if I turn it all the way off right now quickly, go all the way down to the bottom, when I go back to the gas bottle to turn it on, I know for a fact that I can't go around to the right because it won't go any further to the right, so I have to go to the left, and that'll be me turning it on. So I will actually put a new sticker on this. I've only just literally noticed that that's quite faded, so I will put a new sticker on that in a minute. So as I said, you've got the full wind out awning across the top of the van. Fiamma F45S if you wondered what one it was. We've got 3 vents just here. All right. Oh, by the way, the hookup's just here, but that's just simple stuff really, just a hookup cable. So you've got 3 vents just here. All right, so basically this one here is going to be access to the back of the sink, I believe, or the cooker even, actually, this one here. So just giving you a little bit of access to the gas pipes in there. And these 2 are access to the back of the fridge. So when you have the fridge lit up on gas, or even if you have it on electric for a long time, you will feel hot air coming out through this area here. Okay, so the burner itself for the fridge sits down here on the bottom right hand side. That vent is not in properly, so we'll do that back up in a minute. In fact, just try to do it now. There we go. Right, yeah, so the burner is about here on the fridge, so bottom right hand side. You've then got a flue that comes all the way up, and the exhaust for the flue is around here. So that's why you'll hear a gas flame sound down here, and you'll feel warm air coming out through here. So that's perfectly normal. One thing that I would recommend is that when you have got the fridge on, it's always best to try and keep the window that's directly above it, I would keep that shut. And I know it might sound a little bit silly, and you might think, oh, well, that's a bit of a shame. But unfortunately, the way that it's been designed with the fridge vent directly underneath here, the fridge is actually burning really well. It doesn't smell or anything like that, but, you know, carbon monoxide and stuff like that, you never know. So I would recommend, if you have got the fridge lit up on gas, I would leave this window shut to stop the fumes going straight up and into the van. So, on the actual HAB door itself, we have got a little switch just here, which turns on and off the light at the top just there. Okay, so you can see what you're doing before you get in, basically. We've also got a fly screen that comes across like so. It's a little bit tricky with one hand. Cutting it across, basically. Well, it's very hard with one hand, but you probably understand what I was trying to do there. Fly screen comes across the door, basically. All right. You've got a little slider just here, which brings it into this little slot to stop it from opening up when you're driving. The door itself has got a nice retainer up here on the side of the van, so you can see when I push this into it that it grips hold of that quite nicely, so it's not just going to flop around in the wind and sort of come undone. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, I think that's about it for the outside, to be honest. So what I'll do is I'll jump in the cab and show you what we've got in here. So on the door, we've got the obviously handle and your electric windows. We've also got the electric adjusting mirrors from this little dial just here. So you choose which mirror you want to move and then move it around like a joystick. We've then got the lights and main beam lights, which will make that noise at you if you don't have the ignition on. So because it's a Transit, it's actually got quite a nice spec in here, just sort of as standard. Some of these bits aren't standard, but most of them are. So we've got the cruise control option on the steering wheel here. So you've got the on and off button on the left and your resume and set speeds on the right. So that's really simple to use. You've got your indicators and your set and reset button there as well. So I think that's to do with the screen on the front here. Yeah, so you can change the language, which I did not mean to do just then. Let's just change it back to English. Oh God, I just went past it. Right. There we go. So your settings, exit, yes. Right, so yeah, that's all to do with the settings on there. Watch me make an absolute meal of it. On the right, we've got the washers and wipers with the washer button on the side. And we've also got this down here, which would have been for the original factory fitted stereo. So I'm not sure if this is still wired up to the Pioneer head unit. It probably is, to be fair, but sometimes they're not, is the only thing I would say. So apologies if it's not hooked up to this still, but you know, you never know. So we have got the hazard lights from that switch just there, your stability control, so that's your traction control basically, on and off from that one there. Little USB point coming out through here, so a previous owner, whoever's fitted this unit here, has quite nicely put this little USB point here so you can have it attached to your phone if you want to, and all that sort of stuff. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox. Okay, so reverse is lift up on the bottom, push over and up to the top left hand side. That's it really. The only other thing that I would point out, obviously all of this stuff is all of your heater controls and it's all very straightforward, but I would say on the Transits, if you want to use the air conditioning, you have to press this button in like that, and then you'll get a little green light come on the front here if the aircon is on. Okay, so just bear in mind that little green light does have to be on for the aircon to come on. Okay, so what I'll do is I will jump into the back end of the van now and show you what we've got in there. So right, so I think what I'll do is I'll start with the control panel, which is this unit up here, and then I'll show you through the appliances after that. So on the control panel, this is a very straightforward and simple control panel. We've got a main on and off switch at the top right hand side, external light switch, which actually I don't think you have one. No, there's no external light just there, so don't worry about that button there basically. Your water pump switch, you turn that on, that will then give power to the water pump so that you'll then be able to use it and draw the water through on any of the taps. On the left hand side, we've got your battery indicators and your water indicator. So if I press the top one, we'll see the scale will show us the leisure battery voltage. So just shy of 100% on that one. Next one down is our vehicle battery voltage. So 2/3 full, that's absolutely fine. And then our bottom one here is our freshwater level. So we're in the reserve for the freshwater. So just bear that in mind. That's the reason why it's flashing at us when it goes back to the home screen. So it will flash at you, just telling you that the freshwater is nearly empty, because you don't really want to run it dry completely. So yeah, that's just why. It doesn't make any noise or anything. It just kind of flashes like that. And as I say, it will do until you start filling it up. You've got this light here is illuminated at the moment. That's telling us that the electric hookup is in and working. And the little light to the left of it would start lighting up and working if you start the engine up. So this little thing here is actually two batteries linked together, which is telling us that the D+ signal, or the what you might call the split charger, is working from the engine. So that's basically telling us that the engine itself is charging the leisure battery as well as the vehicle battery. So all the time that you're driving, the split charger will be charging up the leisure battery as well as the engine, so that when you get to where you're going, you'll have full charge in both batteries. So that's it, that's the control panel. When you need to drain out your waste tank, you should get a little symbol come on here as well, just telling you that the waste tank's full. But that's it really, it's nice and straightforward. So on the sort of like kitchen area here, we've got the 3-burner hob on the right hand side. You do need an ignition of some sort to light all 3 of these up. So I have left this in here, and what I'll do is I'll leave this in the little drawer down here for you, because to be fair, they didn't come with it. They don't come with an ignition, these ones. But just as a gesture of goodwill, we'll leave you that little thing in there so that you've got something to actually light it up with. Okay, I very rarely actually explain the 3 burners because it's literally just in and round to the left to get the gas to come through with your ignition. So it's pretty self-explanatory, nice and easy on that one. All I would say is that it's really important to allow this area to cool down before you put the glass lid down. And I'm not saying, it should be completely obvious not to put the lid down on the flame, but it's also really important to allow it to cool down a little bit before you put the lid down after you've used it. These areas get unbelievably hot after using, for like 10-15 minutes or so. And if you switch it off and put the lid straight down, it's going to be just as hot as doing it with the flame on. So just bear that in mind, really. It's not the end of the world, it's just a tip, basically, because it is a real mess when they shatter. So you don't want that to happen. So with the water system of the van, which might sound like a really silly thing for me to have to explain to you, but it's actually really important. Because you've got a boiler in this van, because you've got a hot water system, you do have to make sure that you check that the boiler is full of water. And again, that might sound a little bit silly, but there isn't actually a gauge or anything obvious that you can actually check it with. So the only way to do it is doing a couple of steps, which I'll show you now. So first thing you need to do is make sure that you've got some water in the tank, which we do. So we're in the reserve, but we have got a little bit of water in the fresh tank. In that case, we can turn the water pump on. Okay, and the reason I say that is because you shouldn't really put the water pump on if the tank's empty, because pumps don't like to be run when they're dry. So that's all I meant by that. So check your water pump on. Next thing we need to do is come over to the tap here, and basically what I'll do is I'll draw the water through on the cold side. So good pressure coming through the cold side, no air coming out, not coughing, not spluttering. So I'm happy with that. Turn it off. Water pump should turn itself off after that when it gets to pressure. So that's perfect, okay? Now the other side, the hot water side, which is to the left, is the one that actually runs through the boiler. So that's the one that's going to be telling us what sort of level is in the boiler itself. So if the boiler is completely empty, we will not get good pressure coming through that tap. It's not possible. All right, so because the water runs through the boiler first before it comes to the tap, the boiler must be full before it will start coming through the tap. So if I draw the water through on the hot side now, got good pressure, it's not coughing, it's not spluttering, it's not going everywhere, it's not chucking out any air basically. Turn it off, pump turns itself straight off. So we are up to pressure, the boiler's full, and I'm happy to go ahead and use it. So the reason that that's important is because if you try and light the boiler up to get the hot water going and it's empty, it's exactly the same as getting a kettle, sticking it here, completely empty, plugging it into this socket and turning it on. All right, so it's exactly the same as that. So it's really important that you make sure that there is water inside of it before you start trying to use it. And that is the only way to do it, what I've just shown you there. If you find that there's no water in it or there's not enough water in it, what will happen is it will just start coughing a little bit of air out. It might get you a little bit wet and all that. It's totally normal. But you just leave the tap open and wait for the water to start coming through as you just saw it there. Okay, so that's it. That's the only way to do it, and that is how you would do it there. It's nice and easy. Now under here, just whilst we're on that same point, this is something I should have done way before I started the video, but I'll do it now. Chuck these up there. Underneath this seat just here. Right, let's just jump over this side. To this seat here, you should have a boiler drain, which might be over there. Right, what I'm going to have to do, because I'm stupid and I didn't check this before the video started, I'll have to do another little separate video in just a minute to show you the boiler drain, but it's literally a little yellow tab. It's very, very easy. I'll do that after the video. It'll be literally like a 2-minute video to go along with this one. All right. So yeah, long story short, make sure that you've got water coming through the hot side of the tap, and if you do and it's coming through nice and clearly with no sort of coughing and spluttering, then you're good to go and you can use the boiler however you want to. Okay, right, below that we have got the grill. So the grill has got a little light inside of it and a piezo ignition for the ignition. So if you're new to motorhoming, you might not have heard that noise before, but when you start going to all the campsites and everything, that is probably the most common thing that you'll hear. So nearly every motorhome's got a piezo igniter on it. So to light these up, you push in and round to the left, just like anything else, with the ignition going as well. You can see there, first go, light straight up. Okay, so that's your grill working really nicely. Switch that off. And again, this is another one of those things really, it's not quite so important on these, but just allow the grill to cool down a little bit before you put the lid back over. You know, and I'm talking about if you've been using it for a long time. All right. So that is that. Next thing I'll show you is the fridge. So this is a Thetford, I think. Thetford fridge? Yeah, Thetford fridge. Now this is a Thetford 3-way fridge. Okay, and what I mean by 3-way is that it's got 3 different energies that will get the fridge cold. Now, the 3 different energies that will get the fridge cold are the 1, 2, 3 energies. So if you're new to motorhoming, you might not have heard that noise before, but when you start going to all the campsites and everything, that is probably the most common thing that you'll hear. So nearly every motorhome's got a piezo igniter on it. So you can see there, first go, light straight up. Okay, so that's your grill working really nicely. So to light these up, you push in and round to the left, just like anything else, with the ignition going as well. You can see there, first go, light straight up. So they are actually in a bit of an order, which is really helpful to remember. So we've got off here on the right hand side, which, as you can probably imagine, means that the fridge is completely off and not, you know, there's nothing at all at the moment now is getting the fridge cold. Okay. We've then got gas, mains electric, or 12 volt. So they are the three options that you've got on any motorhome fridge. Okay, or any three-way motorhome fridge. So the idea behind these is that you've got two options here, the gas and the electric. The gas and the mains electric, I mean, are the two that will actually get the fridge cold from warm. Okay, so they are two main energies that you're going to be using day to day. The third option, the little battery symbol there on the left hand side, is actually only for keeping the temperature inside the fridge whilst you're driving. Okay, so in other words, when you select 12 volt like that, right now it is doing nothing at all because there's no power there. So the 12 volt option, the little battery symbol, actually takes its power from the engine running. So it only works when the engine's running and you're driving anyway. So the idea is get the fridge cold first before you leave, either on the gas or the mains electric, and then switch over to 12 volt just for when you're on the move. So when you get to where you're going, switch back to one of the other two. Okay, so with these two here, the two electric options, 12 volt and 240 volt, you quite literally just select them. So if you're hooked up on the mains, you select the mains one. If your engine's running, you select the 12 volt one. So that's all you have to do to get those to work. The gas is very slightly different, where when you select gas, I'm not sure if you better hear it on the video or not, but there is actually ignition going on the back of the fridge now. Just ticking away nice and slowly. Okay, so once you've got that ignition going and you're selected on the gas there, all you need to do to light it up is push in on the valve just here and watch our little gauge just here. So if we watch it, you see what happened? The little orange handle there went straight up into the green. And I'm just going to hold on to this for about 5 to 10 seconds to allow the thermocouple to warm up before I let go of the valve. So I'm going to let go now. Oh, so it wasn't quite long enough to actually get that thermocouple nice and hot. So unfortunately, the thermocouples on this particular make of fridge doesn't really sit in the flame very far. I'm not sure why they designed it like that, but it does mean that you do have to hold the little valve on for a little bit longer to allow it to actually sort of get hot enough to allow it to stay on. So yeah, just bear that in mind. But basically, you know, pretty simple stuff. Choose your gas option if you want to use the gas and push in on the valve at the same time to get it to light up. And then just make sure that your little gauge stays up in the green. It's going down now because I've turned it off. Mains electric, as I said, you just select it if you've got the mains cable plugged in. And the 12 volt one, you just literally choose when you're driving. Okay, so it's as easy as that. Very, very simple. So the last two appliances that I've got to show you, if I just get this ladder out of the way for a sec, are both down here on the side of this seat. So what we've got on the left hand side, we've got one that says Truma boiler, and on the right we've got your diesel heating. So in typical Chausson style, you've got a diesel heater rather than a gas blown air heater, which is perfectly fine and perfectly normal. So as long as you've got over a quarter of a tank of diesel in the tank, you should be able to use this diesel heater whenever you want to. So press the top button just here and set your temperature with the gauge. And that is it. So you probably heard it start up just then. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, you'll start to hear a clicking noise outside, which is just the diesel pumping through the pump, and it will start getting hot. So it really is as quick and easy as that. Top button for heating, and the bottom button here where you get a little blue light is fan only. So it will just start pumping around some nice cool air. So there you go. That really is all there is to it with your heating. The boiler is even easier than that, where you've got 50 degrees at the top and 70 degrees at the bottom. So I go up for 50 or down for 70. Okay, I can't remember if I left that cover on the outside or not, so I'm not going to light that up. But yeah, that's it, 50 or 70. Make sure that your cover's off on the outside before you try and light it, otherwise it will not light. And if it does light, it'll probably go bang. So make sure that you leave that cover off when you're using the boiler. 50 or 70 for your temperature, and that's it. So I think the bathroom's probably the last thing that I can show you in the van. As I said, I will do another little separate video just for that boiler drain off point. When we step into the bathroom, you've got a little switch down here to the right, which will leave your lights, or put your lights on, sorry. Really nice and bright, actually, these lights. So, yeah, normally the only part that I show you in the bathroom is the toilet, because it's quite literally hot and cold tap there for the sink, hot and cold tap there for the shower. I have checked all of them, so none of them are leaking or anything like that. So everything is good. So, with the toilet, quite simply, you've got a little blue button at the back just here. When I press the blue button, we'll get some fresh water pumping around into the bowl. Okay, that's via the pump. Now, once we want to drain it out into the cassette, we pull the handle here to our right. That'll drain everything from the bowl into the cassette. And once you finish draining it out, push the handle back again to cover it back over again. And that is genuinely all there is to it. All right, so nice big shower unit here at the back with curtain there so you don't get everything soaking wet. And by the way, we have got a new window on order for this one here. Windows are notoriously difficult to get hold of for motorhomes, unfortunately, so this one is a bit of a pain to get hold of, but we are getting one for the customers, so that is going to be sorted. So yeah, I think that's about it really. Light switch off, buttons at the back, and we have got wardrobe here, but it's just simple stuff really. A couple more trip switches in here, gas isolator points, so if you wanted to isolate the gas from any specific appliances, you can do them from here. All right, just literally isolate them by turning them 90 degrees. I would recommend that you don't use any of these though, really, only because they're only really there for us when we're doing our testing and stuff like that. So unless you really think you've got a specific issue with a specific appliance, I wouldn't bother with these at all. Your 12 volt fuses are all in this little bay just here. So these are all for the 12 volt appliances in the vehicle. So, you know, lights, water pump, stuff like that. And this unit just here, in case you wondered what it was, is your mains charger. So when you're hooked up on the mains, you'll get a little red light come on here. All right. So yeah, that's about it really. There's not much else that I can explain. If there is anything else that you think I've missed out or anything at all, just give us a shout. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.